Hey everyone, I am Anthony Scott at ToyHypeUSA.com. Today we are reviewing the fifth box to FanHome's Iron Man Partwork figure that you build. This includes magazines 15, 16, 17, and 18. And in each magazine there is a different part to build Iron Man. In these issues we are focusing on the left arm. So we've completed the head, the right arm, and the left foot. So these four focus on the left arm, and in each magazine there are different steps to build the arm, as shown on the front of the magazines here, where I'm pointing. Once built, Iron Man stands at 24 inches tall. It includes LED features, a lot of great attention to detail, superior quality, articulation. He is going to be absolutely beautiful. For more details, check out ToyHypeUSA.com as well as FanHome if you're looking to subscribe. I would like to thank FanHome for providing for review. Greatly appreciate that. So I'm kicking things off with issue number 15. And you see the cover right there, which is very nicely done. Each magazine has a different cover. And on the left, we have the table of contents, which includes the history of Iron Man, the Mandarin Returns Dragon Seed, Iron Man Mark III armor, the left elbow joint, which is the steps to build Iron Man. In the comics, the Mandarin Enemies Forever, and Model 12 Telepresence armor. So on the right, we have the first article, the Mandarin Returns Dragon Seed. And I strongly recommend you guys taking the time to read these articles. These are all very nicely done. There's a lot of really good information in here, as well as some great artwork inspired from classic comics and that kind of thing. And a continuation of that. Fing Fang Foom is also featured in this article. Great villain. So halfway through the magazine, we have a look at the elbow joint. These are all the steps that we're going to be doing. This is all the parts that are included with bag number 15. And these are the steps right here. So if you built the right arm, basically you know what to do here. It's all the same steps, but just a different arm. And here's an exploded view, giving more details about where these parts will go. And there's a closer look at that. New article, the Mandarin Enemies Forever. And a continuation of that. Okay, and the final article, Model 12 Telepresence armor. Iron Man has many different kinds of armor. And let's bring some of this in a little bit closer so you can get a look. Strongly recommend you guys checking out the articles. And of course, the back of the magazine, Iron Man Volume 1, issue number 270, which is featured back here. And a look at what's in the next issue is right below that. So with issue 15, we have the parts that are included. And here is a closer look at that. Each poly bag is numbered, so you see 015 right up there. So what I'm going to do is assemble this, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed assembly of the left elbow joint. And just like on the instructions there, it is very easy to put together. You are just going to leave it loose fitting like this. You're not going to connect it to anything. And underneath these pieces right here, are these bolts that are just going to be sitting there for now. And then just put these on top. And in the next magazine, you're going to be finishing assembly of this joint. And we're going to take a closer look at that. Here's a look at issue number 16. This is a different cover art of Iron Man, which you see right in front of you. Some great comic art. And of course, on the bottom right is a look at the parts that you're going to be building. The table of contents on the left includes several articles, including the history of Iron Man to the Infinity Operation Galactic Storm, step-by-step Iron Man Mark II armor, the left elbow joint, which is what we're going to be building, inside the comics, epic stories, the best moments, and the armor, Model 13 module armor. Kicking right into the articles here. This is a great article. This is about crossovers and such, and you see all these great Avengers characters there. And a continuation of that. Great artwork of Thor vs. Gladiator from the Shi'ar Empire. About halfway through the magazine, we're going to be working through the steps here, but here's a look at all the parts that are included for the left elbow joint. So you're going to be getting all those. And here's a look at the steps. So the assembly is basically the same as the other magazine. However, you're going to be connecting the two halves and then screwing it in. So if you did the right arm, you basically know what to expect here. It's going to be straightforward. And we have an exploded view, which is very helpful. And here's a look at that. New article, Epic Stories, the best moments. Sorry, it got a little stuck. Okay, a continuation of that. And a new article, Model 13 module armor. Great article here as well. The back of the magazine gives you a look at Captain America Volume 1, issue number 401 from June 1992. And just below that, there's that up closer. Here's a look at the next issue. So, this is the bag that we're going to be assembling. It's only a few parts in here. It's not going to take very long. And you can tell this part goes with issue number 16, as there's a number on the upper right-hand side there. So what I'm going to do now is assemble this, and let's take a closer look. So the assembly is now complete. Here's a look again at the both halves. This one was in issue 15. This is the one you're going to be working on now, just to clarify. And again, these are the steps involved. Once you put it together, you're going to be screwing it in. And here is a look at the final object here. Just make sure to put the screws all the way through, and these points are going to move as shown for the elbow joint. So now I'm going to be moving into issue number 17. Here's a look at the cover of issue 17 featuring War Machine, and on the right you have Arctic Armor Iron Man. You also see the parts that you're going to be building in this magazine here, as well as the completed step right below that. The table of contents includes the history of Iron Man in black and white, the coming of War Machine, step-by-step Iron Man Mark III armor, the left forearm, which is the parts we're going to be using to build the next step of the figure, All for One, the founding Avengers, and Arctic armor, best served cold. Going right into the articles here, this is the article about War Machine. It's a great article with some really good artwork inspired from the comics. And a continuation of that. More great artwork here from the comics. So about halfway through, these are the steps that we're going to be taking. These are all parts that are going to come in the poly bag for issue 17. And for this step, we're going to be building the left forearm. It's going to come with 2 bags of screws and these 3 pieces. And that is where it's going to go. So the steps, we're going to be assembling this as shown, screwing it on there. And then we're going to be attaching the elbow joint as shown, screwing that in, and that is going to be what it looks like when you're finished. An exploded view of that, giving you a better look. New article, All for One, the founding Avengers, an article about the original Avengers, including Ant-Man, the Wasp, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. And a continuation of that. All throughout the history of the comics and everything. This is a really good article. And the final article is the Arctic armor Iron Man, explaining information about this particular armor. And the back of the magazine is Iron Man Volume 1, issue number 282, which is from July 1992. And just below that, we have a look at what's in the next issue. So here is a look at parts we're going to be building for issue 17. So what I'm going to do is assemble this, and let's take a closer look. Here's a look at the completed piece. This is all assembled now, as shown on the instructions. So once you assemble these 3 pieces on this part, you're going to connect this piece with these 2 screws right there. It's very simple to do it, not challenging at all. So I'm going to be moving on to issue 18. Here's a look at the cover for issue number 18. This is a different cover compared to what we've previously seen. Right next to that, you have the gauntlet armor. And just below that, you have the parts that you're going to be building to build the Iron Man figure. On the left here, you have the table of contents, including the history of Iron Man, Force Works, Times Have Changed, Step by Step, Mark II armor, the left forearm, which are the parts that we're going to be using to build Iron Man. Inside the comics, the Initiative, a superhero company, and the armor, gauntlet armor, Force of Nostalgia. So going right into the articles, you have Force Works, which is the name of Iron Man's team, which was actually first introduced to me in Iron Man the Animated Series, 1994. And these are a look at some of the members there. And a continuation of that. So here are the parts that you're going to be building Iron Man. There's all these parts, including 3 bags of screws. Each one's a different kind, and that's where it's going to be going. For the steps, you're going to be connecting and screwing those in, as shown. And then you're going to be assembling the parts that you've previously assembled with the last magazine. And that's what it's going to look like when you're done. So this looks pretty simple. And here is an exploded view. New article, The Initiative, a Superhero Company. This is the Superhero Registration Act, which was introduced first in the comics, and then it transitioned to the live-action Avengers movies, which turned into Marvel Civil War. Not everyone was happy about registering, so people sided with Iron Man to register or Captain America not to register, including supervillains, which they didn't showcase in the film. So that was a bit disappointing in my opinion. And new article, Gauntlet Armor, Force of Nostalgia. Back of the magazine gives you a look at ForceWorks issue number 1 from July 1994, as well as a description of that. And just below that is a look what's in next issue, which is number 19, inside the next box, Hulkbuster Iron Man. So what I'm going to do now is build the parts, and let's take a closer look at that. But here is what it looks like here. So these are the parts that we're going to be building. Here's a look at the completion of the left forearm. This has all been attached to screw in as shown. If you already done the right arm, you basically know what to expect here. Works the same way. The hinge joints work as shown, double hinged. And here's a look at the screws in there. Just be careful when you assemble this part. Can be a little bit tricky, but when you assemble it, just make sure this part here is sticking up as shown. I had just made that mistake. Other than that, very simple to put together. Overall, this is going to be a phenomenal figure once he's done. Thank you again to FanHome for sending along for a review. Greatly appreciate that. I am Anthony Scott at toyhypeusa.com. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more coverage.